Welcome back from the break. Pakistanis and Kashmiris around the world are observing Black Day on the second anniversary of India's illegal revocation of occupied Kashmir's special status. And to talk more about this, we are joined in our studio today by Mr. Advocate Pervez Malik, Executive Member, All Parties Hurriyat Conference.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for taking time out exclusively for Indus News. And we are also joined by Mr. Ravi Srivastava, political analyst, joining us from India. Mr. Srivastava, thank you very much for your time at Indus News. Okay, I'll begin the discussion with Mr. Malik, with you. It's been 2 years. It's the second anniversary of the illegal action by India of revoking the Article 370 that gave the special status to Kashmir. How do you see the things unfolding over there after this much of time that has already lapsed?
Thank you very much. I'm highly thankful to Indus News to give us the opportunity to express what is happening in Indian occupied Kashmir. As you know, today, Kashmiris, wherever they are settled, they are observing Black Day. And when today I'm talking of Indian occupied Kashmir, there was a complete shutdown. And unfortunately, the occupation forces broke the locks of the shops and used excessive force to stop the people from coming out from their homes. So what has changed in Indian occupied Jammu and Kashmir? If we see that for the last 2 years, headway India has made in Indian occupied Jammu and Kashmir, that is, their main focus was for the demographic change, because they have, as per the Indian statement, they have issued more than 4.5 domicile certificates to the non-residents, and they are now in a position to purchase the land in Indian occupied Jammu and Kashmir. And what is a serious concern for us that in near future, if United Nations resolutions will be implemented in occupied Jammu and Kashmir, who will be the person who will cast his vote? Because the total population of the Indian occupied Jammu and Kashmir is presently 8 million, and when you issue 4.5 million people these domicile certificates, you are going to compromise this right to self-determination of the people of Jammu and Kashmir, and at the same time you are making the United Nations infractuous. So in this situation, it is the responsibility of the international community, especially the United Nations, who has assured the people of Jammu and Kashmir, who has passed dozens of resolutions, that the people of Jammu and Kashmir will be given right to self-determination, and people have been struggling for the last 70 years, number one. Secondly, India had used excessive force for this period, for the last 2 years, because all the laws of the Indian occupied Kashmir have gone to the dustbin, because the Kashmir is being directly ruled by the India and by lieutenant governor who is there, and the people do not get any kind of relief from the courts. The hundreds and thousands of the writ petitions are pending before the courts. And thirdly, India has almost what it did, that the employees of the Indian occupied Jammu and Kashmir, especially in the bureaucracy, they are thrown out, and the people from outside India are being thrusted upon them. So this is a major change what has taken place, and I don't think anything more, any positive has India done.
Okay, Mr.
So
Malik, you have just highlighted very important points. I'll go with the one point to Mr. Srivastava. Mr. Srivastava, I remember that time right after the revocation of Article 370 back in 2019. We saw Ghulam Nabi Azad heading towards Indian occupied valley, Kashmir, and over there during his survey and after meeting the people over there, he said the situation over there in the valley is not very normal. In fact, he said there was a terror in the air. Do we see that particular terror just reduced after 2 years of the revocation of the Article 370, or the situation has worsened over there? For example, the points which have been raised by Mr. Malik as well.
I would like to say that there appears to be a calm before the storm as far as the valley is concerned. My question is to the government of India, that what did we achieve? The point is that we were assured on 5th of August 2019 that the peace will be restored in Kashmir. The Kashmiris will be prospering. industries will go there, lot of employment opportunities will be created over there, and it will become a real sense the part of the country which they claim it has not been. But I don't see any change in last 2 years. I think the situation is further grim, and the way India has lost security personnel have been martyred. So many things are happening over there. The Kashmiris had a hell of a life in last 2 years. The political leaders were house arrested. Some were tortured as well. And the situation has not changed at all what it was prior to that 68 years or 70 years. So what did we achieve? Now today I heard that they are going to hoist Indian flag for 100 feet height in the Gulmarg. They could have done earlier also. So Kashmir has always been a part of India. So who stopped them? I don't think that's an achievement anyway. No peace has been restored. No employment opportunities have been created. No Kashmiris. The main thing is that those Kashmiri Pandits who were displaced from Srinagar and living in the tents at Delhi or somewhere in Jammu, nobody has gone back there. I mean, that if the government claimed that those Kashmiri Pandits will be rehabilitated there, their houses will be reconstructed and all those things, and instead we saw that so many people have been thrown out of jobs. The thousands of people have been thrown out of jobs. The Kashmir, Srinagar is being run by a remote control from Delhi. I hope you recall there was a meeting with all the stakeholders in Delhi a few days before, in which our Prime Minister claimed that Delhi ki duri khatam aur dil ki duri qareeb aayi hai. All those phrases were used, and
so do you think, Mr. Srivastava, these notions or these so-called slogans, do they carry any practical weight? I mean, the actions speak very contrary to what he just said in these slogans.
Absolutely. This is what I want to explain you, that the situation has not changed a bit. Every day we hear of the skirmishes. Every day here there's some terrorist attacks are there. Some security personnel are killed again. The life is not normal in Kashmir. This is what is my point, that by sending a lieutenant governor from Delhi in Srinagar, what could he do? You must have heard in an interview of Mr. Omar Abdullah a few days before on a reputed channel of India, in which he exposed that the way all those things which were being done by the earlier government are only being continued. What this government has done in 2 years, how many universities, how many big hospitals, how much infrastructure has been created over there. Nothing is happening in Kashmir. They are doing something in Ladakh. They are making some solar panels and power lines and roads and all those things. But Ladakh was always a peaceful state. But instead, where it is required, where 80 lakh people reside in Srinagar and Anandpura and all those places, nothing is happening over there. No kind of development is seen over there.
No kind of development. The point is well taken. Mr. Srivastava, I'll come back to you with this very point. There are certain other points, very crucial points to be discussed. This point, Mr. Malik, this particular revocation was done on the pretext that there would be, as Mr. Srivastava just alluded to, that there would be prosperity, there would be development, there would be jobs creation. But on the contrary, we see, as you already mentioned, that there are hundreds and thousands of employees who have lost their jobs, and they are being replaced by some other people who are not basically Kashmiris. So where is this whole situation heading towards?
No, we have to understand one thing with due regard to Srivastava. We have never demanded for the development, and we have never asked for the jobs. Because when we see the Kashmiris, when they are on the street, they have never raising any slogan for the jobs or for the development. There have been number of packages by the government of India, some 800,000 million packages and other packages, jobs. But Kashmiris have never asked for the jobs. Kashmiris are asking for the right which has been promised to them by the then Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru. He is the person who went to the United Nations. It is not me. And he, in his different communiques to the government of Pakistan, has agreed that we do not believe in the forced marriages. So, in agreeing with Srivastava, what India has said, that they are going to make the developments and other things. But first of all, you need the
That's
peace.
not the point that Mr. Srivastava is making. That was the pretext the Indian
yes,
government came up with to revoke the Article
I want to say
370.
that what BJP claimed. I'm just saying what BJP has said, that they are going to make the development. But you have to bring the peace in the state. Until and unless there will be peace, there is no fun of the development. Nobody will allow you to make the development.
Mr. Srivastava, this particular point, Mr. Malik has just alluded to the fact that it's not about the jobs that is being demanded by the Kashmiris over there. It's that promise by the UN Security Council resolutions that plebiscite, which would be fair and impartial, that would give them the right to self-determination, to choose their future path, to choose their fate. What do you say about that?
See, first of all, the attempts going on by the government of India at the moment to complete the exercise of the delimitation, and after that conduct a proper poll over there and put up a state government over there which can do all kind of negotiations or on the United Nations resolutions. All those things can be done. The political climate can be soothed, and the whole thing can my basic point is that the peace should be restored in the region. That's the most important thing, because unless peace is there, nothing can else happen. No discussions, no talks, no further movement can take place. So just by operation and putting people inside the houses and making the army taking rounds of the streets, the peace will not be restored. It means somewhere by abrogating the Article 370 and Section 35A, the government of India has erred in making those such decisions. Instead of that, the attempt should have been to restore the peace in the region and talk with all stakeholders so that the things get normalized.
Yes, that's exactly the point that I just want to bring your attention to. When we talk about the speech which was done by Pakistan's Prime Minister Imran Khan in the UN General Assembly, he was categorical about this, that Pakistan wants to go further in resolving. And right at his inauguration as the premier of this country, he extended the hand of friendship towards India and asked the Indian side to come to the negotiating table in order to resolve all outstanding issues. As you have also mentioned, that there should be peace. Peace should prevail. What makes India hesitant to come to the negotiating table in order to discuss this particular burning issue, which happens to be the flashpoint between two nuclear-armed states, Pakistan and India?
First of all, I feel that the particular government has got a different agenda. You are finding it is happening across the nation. There is kind of a Islamophobia against the particular people, and J&K is the only state which is which has got Islamic population which is highest. So their agenda is at the moment of kind of an oppression. They don't want to really restore the peace over there. They just want to conquer it, like the kings used to get their territories won back or something like that. This is not a proper approach. The approach should be to have a discussion with the open hearts and make all stakeholders to express their point of view and discuss with them, negotiate with them, and restore peace. This is not happening in the country at the moment. There is a majoritism, and as a result, there are a lot of the lynchings are taking place, and a lot of unrest is happening. India is at the moment on quite unrest over there. This parliament has not run for last 20 days. You must have seen already, and the things are absolutely bad. And the government's attention is at the moment on a firefighting. They are hardly have any time to restore peace in Jammu and Kashmir.
With that very point, you just said that the government over there, India, is not in a position, in fact, they are not ready to come to the negotiating table. Rather, we see rising Islamophobia over there in India as well. I'll take this very point to Mr. Malik. Mr. Malik, when we talk about this very attitude of a certain government, which is already a nuclear-armed state, and it has a neighbor which is also a nuclear-armed state. So we saw in the past, US President Donald Trump also offered mediation. Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan also extended the hand of friendship towards India in order to resolve all outstanding issues. What holds, do you think, India back?
Basically, why India is not coming to the negotiating table, the basic thing is they have seen the writing on the wall in Indian occupied Jammu and Kashmir. They know very well what the people of Jammu and Kashmir wish and what will be their decision. Secondly, the politics of Narendra Modi is based on the hatred. Simply, hate Pakistan, make hate speeches against Pakistan and satisfy his constituency. And I'm sure that, as Srivastava has rightly said, they are going for the delimitation, and this is not, this delimitation is not on the sincere basis. There is no sincere commitment. It is just to bring a chief minister from Jammu. He should be Hindu, and in the coming elections, Narendra Modi is going to sell this argument. If he wants to negotiate, then no negotiation is possible under the barrel of the gun. I say on the behalf of the All Party Hurriyat Conference, let them release the political prisoners who have been languishing in the jails. Let them sit with all the three parties. If there are three parties to the dispute, people of Jammu and Kashmir, Pakistan and India, let them come tomorrow. We are ready to sit for tripartite dialogue, but not for the triangular dialogue. If India wishes that Kashmiris will sit with me, then they will sit with Pakistan, and in this way he will create a confusion. It is not possible. Let them be a dialogue outside the Indian constitution. Why? Because, well, people of Jammu and Kashmir do not believe. Secondly, as Vastava said, that there be an elected government. Will it make any difference? For the last 50, 70 years, there have been number of elections, couple of elections have been, and there have been the United Nations resolutions that the elections are not the substitute to the United Nations resolutions. So the only way is that is the political will. India is lacking the political will. If there has been the offers from United Nations that people of Jammu and Kashmir, there has been a strict direction from the United Nations Human Rights Council that both India and Pakistan should respect people's right to self-determination. How it will be respected? After, do we think that after settling non-Kashmiris, he is respecting the people's right to self-determination? No, not at all. Yes, there should be negotiation. East Pakistan is giving an offer. We are also ready. All Party Hurriyat Conference also ready. Let there be a negotiation. We are ready to sit in the negotiation, whatever may be the honorable decision, win-win situation for all. We are going to accept
Mr. Srivastava, these voices keep coming in from the Pakistani side that we are ready to negotiate. And again, there have been calls on the international level after the revocation of 370 particularly. This issue was discussed for the first time after such a long time in the UN Security Council as well, twice, and then the European Parliament and the British Parliament, even in the US Congress, this issue was raised. There was offer of mediation from President Trump. Now, Pakistan also wants to talk. You said there is not a will in the current government that is in India that is led by BJP, and again, it is led by that very Hindutva ideology. What do you think could be possible solution so that all the stakeholders, as per the Simla agreement, can come to the negotiating table and discuss it for something good?
I would refrain from using the word Pakistan, but I would definitely say that all the stakeholders who are on our soil, who are in Jammu.
But Mr. Srivastava, I'll have to interrupt you. According to Simla agreement, Pakistan happens to be the stakeholder. So how can we not take Pakistan as a stakeholder?
I'm not disagreeing with you. What I'm saying is that all the stakeholders who are the party in the previous agreements or in the United Nations resolutions or the President of the US or the Prime Minister of Pakistan, whosoever is the stakeholder, must come forward, and the government of India should talk. First, restore the peace in the region and talk and see to it that the Kashmir goes on a path of prosperity and
okay, on one side, Pakistan's Prime Minister said we are ready for a free referendum. It is the will and the choice of the people of Kashmir themselves. If they want freedom, we will just submit to their wishes. That's what Pakistan's side says. why such type of voices don't come from Indian side as well?
Absolutely, there are political parties over there. Our PDP is there, the National Conference is there, the Apna party is there. There are quite a lot of number of political outfits in that particular region who represent the wishes of the Kashmiris, and they all should come forward and they should discuss. But the point is that irrespective of making the number of efforts, the situation is back to square one every time. There were, the Indians expected that in last 2 years, the things will definitely improve. And if the way it was publicized, the way it was shown to the nation, that this will definitely bring peace in Jammu and Kashmir, that did not happen. So it means that there is a need for a multi-level talks. There is a need for all stakeholders to be brought in. Discussion should happen, and see to it that the peace is restored in the region.
So do you see this curfew and the siege? Let's talk about this negotiation that might be happening or might not be happening, but we should be positive about it, that people, all the stakeholders should come to the negotiating table and talk about this particular problem to be resolved. But do you see in near future this particular siege and the curfew and the communication clampdown and the very much brutal enforcement of the Public Safety Act and the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act being reduced by the Indian government?
This is absolutely uncalled for, which disturbs the civil life. Students going to school, the people going to their jobs, the sick getting their treatment, the restoration of the internet, the people being house arrested, the indefinite curfews imposed over there, all these things must be stopped forthwith. They do not go in a civil life, they do not go in a democratic country hand in hand, and this should be immediately uplifted. All those prisoners, if they are charged, for 2 years, if they are in the jail without any charges or without any conviction, they should be released from the jail. There is no reason to hold them over there. See to it that, yes, normalcy is restored first. Yes.
Okay, Mr. Srivastava, the point well taken. You're of the view that normalcy should be restored immediately. Mr. Malik, I'll come to you with this point. Do you see any sort of move on the part of the Indian government in near future for the uplift of this?
I don't expect anything positive from this government. If there is some international pressure from United Nations or those peace-loving countries, there is a possibility. Nothing is impossible. But for the
Mr. Malik, there has been international pressure.
Yeah, there has been, although India does not give any kind of impression that there is a international pressure. We have seen the ceasefire between India and Pakistan. This was not all of a sudden. There was definitely an international pressure. But one thing is, I agree with Srivastava, you have to make the conducive atmosphere in the valley. And I assure you, if India makes conducive atmosphere in Jammu and Kashmir, it releases political prisoners, revokes these black laws, and whatever they are, the excessive use of force, definitely there will be a change. And Pakistan will also take a lenient view, because it cannot leave Kashmiris at the mercy of the India, because they are party to the dispute. They have to look after their aspiration and wishes. And I think India must, better sense should prevail on India, and they must take some positive steps.
Okay, with this point, we come to end of today's discussion. Mr. Advocate Pervez Malik, Executive Member, All Parties Hurriyat Conference, thank you very much for your time at Indus News, particularly coming all the way over here in our studio today. And Mr. Ravi Srivastava, thank you very much for your time, political analyst joining us from India as well. And with that note, we come to the end of today's discussion, and we'll be right back with more stories. For that, stay tuned.